All right. Welcome to our scheduled
um
live conversation
network
around.
alẹ́ yìí.
Welcome to our scheduled live conversation on the subject of health, how to
Or
live
should I use my phone?
healthy on a budget. All right. So we had and Coach EJ, can you mute your mic? We had a quick delay, and we're finally here. Some technical glitch, but we're finally here, and we are set to set the ball rolling. So I'm just going to quickly check that we are LinkedIn and then we are active on YouTube. If you're watching from YouTube or from LinkedIn, just drop me a comment. Let me know I'm connected and we are good to go. Let me also know that you can see me and you can hear me. Coach EJ or Coach Grace, if you're joining with
Okay.
another device, please reduce the volume. Reduce the volume. You're, you're distracting me. All right. So if you're joining on LinkedIn or YouTube, kindly leave us a comment. Let me know that you are in the program. All right. We're about to start. So let me just be sure that we're active on YouTube, that we're active on LinkedIn, and then we are good to go. All right. So check on LinkedIn that we are live. Tunolu, I see you from LinkedIn. Thank you very much for joining. If you're joining on LinkedIn or on YouTube, please drop me a comment. Dr. Vivian, so good to have you here. So good to have you here. All right. And thank goodness this is your field. Thank goodness this is your field. All right, guys, to go. Now that I know we are active on LinkedIn and we're active on YouTube, let's set the ball rolling. That is something we often take for granted becomes a problem. I'm also guilty, all right? So we chase career goals, we build businesses, and we work without rest at the cost of people only start valuing their health when it's already at risk. And sometimes it might be too late, which is why we want to have tough conversations today about health. Possible to live healthy? That's like one of the questions that some of the persons I've had a conversation with in the last 1 month have asked. Live healthy? If yes, then how exactly can you live healthy? Then there is how can one live healthy when you are not a lot of cash? One of the conversations that also comes healthy, eating healthy is that people say, how exactly do you get to eat a balanced diet when you don't have money? All right. So we're gonna have, we're gonna dialogue around such issues tonight. So there are many more questions and issues that people have when it comes to discussing living. We're gonna discuss, and if you have any question along the line, just in the comment section, and we will attend to them. Tonight, by two amazing guests who are health Elizabeth Joy Adigwe. I think she's having some network issues. She will be back with us very shortly. Elizabeth is a nutritionist and a lifestyle medicine coach. And we also have Grace Gabriel Abasirim. All right, Abasirim Grace Gabriel is a dietitian and a nutrition coach. Hi Grace, how are you doing?
I'm fine,
All
coach.
right, let me know that you also can see and hear me. Are we good? Are we
Yes.
All right, beautiful. So together tonight, we will unpack issues around how diet and nutrition can help prevent sicknesses and disease, and the eating cost of unhealthy eating habits. And we're going to look at some of those unhealthy eating habits. So tonight is a moment we're going to be confronting tough issues and having tough conversations. And tonight we'll be looking at budget-friendly ways to eat healthy, and how can remote workers maintain good health. I am a remote worker. I know Grace is also a remote worker. So we're going to have tough conversations around mental health issues, and how it affects working remote. All right. So if you have ever felt eating healthy or too expensive, this conversation is for you. All right. If you've ever felt that eating healthy is expensive or is difficult, difficult or is impossible. This conversation, thank you for joining. All right. And in case you're wondering, who am I? I mean, most of you on the call know me already. My name is Ajayi or Lalikon Divine Johnson Asamoah. All right. And I'll be your host for tonight. I'll be asking all the questions, and the health practitioners are going to be answering. I'm not the health practitioner. I'm just a bloody writer. All right. So this is not my field, and this is why this conversation is going to be focused on the guest that I have brought on tonight's conversation. All right. So, what's the agenda for tonight? We've gone through the aspect of the intro. The next thing we're going to be doing quickly is we're going to be asking Grace and Elizabeth a couple questions that I have collated based on my conversations with people on the subject of action. We're also going to have the third section. We have the discussion, and then we have the Q&A. If you have any question based on what we're discussing, yeah, says or based off issues you have that has been bothering you that you have on your activities that are also have precise and specific questions around dieting, nutrition, and how to really maintain sound health. Questions in the comment section, whether on LinkedIn or on YouTube, and we will have time to address some of those. One thing I always do anytime I'm hosting live audio events or events. So Grace, are you
Yes,
ready
coach.
for me? So we're gonna do something very quickly.
Yes,
Grace,
sir.
can you hear me? All right. So you're gonna lift your right hand out an oath. We're gonna take an oath. I wish Elizabeth was here because we were supposed to. Then let me see if
Yeah,
Elizabeth is back. Hold on. I want to check if Elizabeth is back on board.
I'm back on board.
I am
Elizabeth, are you
here.
here? All right. Awesome. Awesome. So it's like you're having some. I hope you're. I hope we're good now. Are we ready to
I can
go?
hear you.
All right.
Good.
All right. Good. So I've introduced you. How are you today? How are you doing?
Fine, I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you, coach.
You actually look like it. You're looking beautiful and radiant. And of course,
All right.
you're looking
Thank you.
beautiful and radiant.
Thank you.
All right. So this is the part where I needed you to come on
Okay.
board. So you, both of you are going to raise your hand. Are we ready? We're going to
Right.
take an oath.
Okay.
So let me see your
Okay.
right hand. Right. So you will say after me, I, then put your name.
I,
I
Grace Ochonoga Abasirim,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
Okay. Oh. I'm in Port Harcourt, so a lot of things happen.
that I will not hold back,
eh?
that I will not hold back anything tonight, that I will not hold back
I will not
anything.
hold back anything tonight.
I will not hold back anything tonight.
Okay.
All right, I will share to the best of my knowledge so as to help everybody on this call.
I will help to the
Share
best of
the
my
best
knowledge.
of my
I can help
knowledge so as
one
to
on
help
call.
everybody on this call.
All right, now that we have done that, we are good to go.
Okay.
All right, so very quickly, let's start on a very light
Okay.
note. So I know Grace is a dietitian, Elizabeth is a nutritionist. So I know the difference between the two. If you have a second device on, can you turn down the
Yes.
volume? Because I'm getting the feedback. All right, good. Grace is a dietitian, Elizabeth is a nutritionist. I want one of you to actually help us. What is the difference between a nutritionist and a dietitian? What's the
Okay.
difference? Who's going to help
Let
us
me
with that?
allow Grace do that.
Okay, so a dietitian
All right, Grace, go
a
ahead.
dietitian is a regulated healthcare professional. So when I say regulated, it's someone who has gone through the study of nutrition and dietetics, then do your 1 year compulsory internship to give you a license
All
to
right.
practice in the healthcare sector, right? So a nutritionist, basically, we are both the same thing, but the difference is the nutritionist didn't go through the compulsory internship that qualifies you to practice in the healthcare sector, right? So they do general nutrition. It's broad, though. Nutrition is even very broad. So basically the same thing. We are licensed to practice in the healthcare sector, and then nutritionists generally.
Right, awesome. Elizabeth, do you agree, or you have any?
I agree actually. In this day and age, actually, it depends on how far you want to go with your craft. Even if you didn't go through all of that internship, each person can be intentional, I'll put it that way, can be intentional to find a way to go through his or her own internship outside of what the school allows you to do. I agree. It's practically still the same thing, but theirs is more rigorous, lengthy training than for a nutritionist. But like I said, as an individual, if you're really very interested and intentional about how far you want to go, you would go the extra mile to gain more information and go through more practical training. Did we get that? Like coach is frozen.
Hello, Coach D. Let me check.
I think it's from coach's end.
Yeah, we need to know what's happening. Let me reach out to him.
The gods of network have taken over his environment.
Okay, he will be joining us shortly. He has a
Yes,
little challenge.
yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
Coach Joy, how are you?
I'm fine, good. How's your
I'm
Sunday?
fine, thank you. Everyone, so we're so sorry for the glitch, but Coach will be back. Okay, since we don't have Coach here,
Okay.
although he's going to join, he's trying to fix the challenge.
Yeah. He, I think we should, yeah, we can make it open. Yeah. Which network?
Okay, he's trying to fix it.
Okay. We'll be back shortly. Okay.
Okay, what we're going to do, while Coach is trying to fix it, I think we should go ahead to talk generally. What I know a lot of you have expectations here, so we just move on to talk about health generally, and then hopefully he joins us soon. And if that doesn't happen, probably we take your questions because I know that's why we are here to help clear some things. Could Joy?
Yeah, I agree.
Uh, so we let me temporarily moderate this section, right? We are so sorry for the challenge. So, talking about eating healthy on a budget, which is the topic which brought us together tonight. First of all, we'd like to discuss what it means to actually be healthy. So, I give the room to Conjoy to do that.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Once again, when it comes to being healthy is a broad topic. Being healthy is not just about, oh, I have not been sick. Oh, I have not been admitted in the hospital in the last 5, 10 years. It's not necessarily about how we feel. Being healthy is a sum total of your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, your social well being. It's all encompassing. And according to WHO will always say being healthy is not just the absence of disease, but a balance in every area of health. So healthy is not just about, because I meet a lot of people who say, "Oh, I think I'm healthy. I am strong. I can move around." Strength does not equal being healthy. Just like Coach was saying, I think he was in his post, he talked about how his father's friend slumped, and only that was just it. He didn't look sick. He didn't complain of any sickness. Nothing happened to him. He just slumped, and then that was it. Sometimes some people can have sicknesses inside of their body, but it may not show. Why? Because some people are symptomatic and some others are asymptomatic, meaning when they are sick, for some it will show, for some other persons it may not show. So being healthy is a sum total of your physical well-being, ensuring that you're eating well, you're doing your regular checkups, and then your emotional well being, your mental well being. Are you stressed? If you're undergoing a lot of stress, chronic level stress, how well are you managing stress? How well are you sleeping? So it's an all encompassing terminology, actually. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Okay, now that you talked about stress, what we are used to is physically you're healthy.
Yeah,
It's just a few number of people that know that the emotional health is part of your health, right? But everyone
yeah,
wants to be healthy physically, and that's why most people are in the gym, and then mentally they are something else is going on. So you're talking about stress, right? Stress is one topic that is kind of silent, right? Because
yeah.
we are yet to understand how it truly impacts our health. So
Okay.
I know that you are into stress management as a coach.
Yes.
So what do you have
Okay,
for us
when it
about
comes
stress?
to stress, first and foremost, stress is something that is inevitable. I want everyone to settle that in their mind. And we actually need some healthy, keyword, healthy dose of stress, in the sense that stress is just, it has to do a lot with your flight and fight response somehow, some way. Just like if you see something approaching, that moment where you're scared, your body goes into a temporary stress mode. That's stress. Stress is something that would upset your physical balance, your normal balance, anything that will upset you. If you're in traffic, you can get stressed. If you're working on a deadline, you can get stressed. There are so many stressors. Now, a healthy dose of stress is necessary. Where the stress now becomes very bad or begins to give you a red flag is when it's consistent and then chronic for a very long time. How do I mean? You're constantly not eating at the right time you should eat. You have family stress you're dealing with. You have work related stress. There are different types of stress, actually. There are different stressors. Your gadgets, our phones can stress us. If they're hanging, just like this network now is behaving, it can be stressing Coach D one way or the other where he is. Gadgets can stress you. Family responsibilities can be so overwhelming and it will stress you. Your work, you can have a crazy boss or some annoying colleagues who just like to get on your last nerve. It will stress you. When you don't have enough money, there's also something called financial stress. So when all those things are creeping in and then it becomes very consistent for a very long period of time. Then in healthcare too, there's something I always warn people about, because this one is not seen. There's also something referred to as oxidative stress. This one happens inside of the body. It affects the cells. There's a way you eat or not eat certain things, and you experience what is called oxidative stress. Now, like I said, there's a healthy dose of stress that our body can handle, but there's a threshold. When it becomes too much, that's where we need to call for stress management techniques. Now, the truth is, some people know that they are stressed, but they have very unhealthy ways of coping with stress. And this mostly, well, I say mostly for the men, I think most men tend to cope with stress in very unhealthy ways. How do I mean? Number one, for most men, they resort to drinking excessively. Why? Because, oh, work is stressing me. There's a lot of stress from the home front. So let me, instead of going home straight from work, let me branch one joint like that and cancel some bottles. He starts with one bottle, but these things can get addictive. And before you know what's happening, he's using alcohol to distress, but he feels he's actually relieving of stress, but the alcohol is adding more problem to the stress, to what the stress is already doing. Some others resort to smoking. So they take more sticks of cigarettes when they feel stressed. I've met people who say, oh, yes, when they are stressed, they tend to take more sticks of cigarettes. That's an unhealthy way of coping. Some who used to do some form of exercise before no longer exercise anymore simply because they feel stressed. So why should I even exercise? Then some others begin to overeat, emotional eating. You just feel stressed. The next thing you want is something that will cool you down. And when you rush to take certain things like that, you may likely not be making the right choice of the food you want to eat when you're stressed. So there are healthier ways of coping with stress. The first one is to sleep. Sleeping
Okay.
is very, in fact, sleep is one place where whatever level of stress you've experienced throughout the day, the number of hours you've slept can help you minimize the release of the cortisol hormones and adrenaline that has been released all through the day. So sleeping, resting adequately, exercising, and eating some foods that can help you distress. A lot of people don't like to take fruits, but there are some fruits that can help one distress. Example is banana, and banana is quite very abundant. So a lot of people undergo so much of unhealthy coping mechanisms when it comes to relieving themselves of stress, whereas there are other healthier ways of coping with stress. We just need to understand what our stressors are, find a way to eliminate or reduce our exposure to those stressors, and then manage them in a very healthy fashion. I want to believe people got something from my explanation.
I think there are messages in the
Oh,
chat, so
okay,
that's
chat.
to say yes. So they are with us. They're hearing it. Thank you for explaining that properly
Okay,
because
okay,
stress is something that is rarely talked about, right? Everybody wants to eat healthy, but you can
mm,
actually be eating healthy in quotes, and then the stress is all over everywhere and
true.
makes a mess of everything we try to do, right? And
Exactly,
by so doing, the health is deteriorating. Trying to
exactly.
check on Coach D. So,
Okay,
uh, being that we are in a program talking about eating on a budget, I like to talk about the impact what we eat has on our health, right?
okay,
So, what we eat have either a positive impact or a negative impact on our health.
okay,
And talking about the negative impact first, what we eat has a way of affecting our metabolism generally. So, if there is a metabolic disorder, what does that mean? Metabolic disorder basically when your body is not able to function the way it's supposed to be. That's in a more simpler way. When the body is not able to convert the food to energy, something is going on in the body, right? Now, if there is such a disorder in the body,
mm,
chronic diseases can sprout up. Something can
okay,
go wrong, high blood pressure can come, diabetes can come, and all. And what you eat now is going to have a negative or a positive impact even before there is a condition. We like to come from the aspect of preventive medicine. Preventive medicine in the sense that we don't even want you to develop that situation before you start eating right. We do hope that you eat
mm,
right, no matter the financial implication. For everybody, what I believe is that there is something within your reach that can actually serve you, that can be healthy for you, right? So now, if you are able to prevent before whatever situation occurs, before that high blood pressure, before that diabetes, before the kidney problem is important. Now, what does that tell you? What you eat is playing an important role. So, for you to prevent a chronic condition, you have to start eating right. And what does this eating right actually mean? It entails you having all your nutrients in a plate of food. Yes, realistically, it may not be possible in quotes because, oh, coach, this is back.
Oh man.
but the network wants to
So
stress
sorry
you.
about that. You just went through some level of experience that of stress. That's what Joy told us.
But I survived. All right. So I've been
So
following the
sorry.
conversation.
Yeah.
I see that we're already talking about how what negatively or positively. So I'll just let you continue. Then I'll
Yeah.
pick
Yeah.
it up from there.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. So talking about you preventing, right? for instance, a family, we know that there is a family that have a history of diabetes, for instance. Okay. Now, for someone in such a family, you would want to start preventing before it gets to you. It's really, I don't believe it's compulsory that because something is common in my family, that means I should have it. You can prevent by what you are eating. You have to prevent that by
True.
eating what we call the balanced diet, which is what we're taught in school. But right now we call it the adequate diet, okay, adequate nutrition. But in the layman language, like we're taught in primary school, then it's called a balanced diet, comprising of your major nutrients, all your nutrients. And remember that water is part of that plate. Now you have your protein, your carbohydrates, you have your fat. Now, if you're having all your nutrients in a plate of food, does not mean your plate of food has to be so elaborate, so much, right? But you get them complete in your plate. If you consistently do this over time, you have a chance of limiting the getting whatever family history it is. Although you can still eat right and develop it, but it will be it will be easier to manage than when you're not eating right and then you develop this situation. Okay. So how what we eat impacts our health is in two ways, like I said, negative or positively. And for the positive aspect, you have to start it before developing the situation. And you can equally prevent, should in case there's anyone on the call that is already managing a situation, it can be managed now, is no longer preventive, right? So what you eat is of very great importance in your health.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Coach D.
Okay. Yeah.
Hope he's not frozen again, is he?
Can everybody hear me?
Oh, he's not.
Yes, we can
Yes, we
hear
can
you.
hear you now.
For one of the things you said, all right. Although it looks like you already answered what I was in a very direct manner. So let's say family and industry, they have diabetes, all right. What are the chances that with one of the children, I mean, eating right and doing all things well, what are the chances that such a person can escape the possibility of also having diabetes?
Hmm.
Is it possible,
It's possible depending on the lifestyle.
or there is no way they can escape it?
No, it's possible. It can be escaped depending on the lifestyle generally. Like we said, if the goal is preventing, not management, okay, it can be managed. It can be prevented, I mean. Now, preventing that means from the onset, you already have the knowledge that, oh, my family has something like this. So you don't have to wait till you are 30, to your 40 to start eating right. You start eating right from that. If it is today, you're just realizing you start eating right today. Do you get? If it was yesterday, you start that yes. I believe the person starts yesterday. So you just have to start immediately. And for you to start to be able to prevent that diabetes, it means you have to go low on soda, which is regular, is our run to for energy, to for quick energy. But what we don't understand is the energy crashes it gives us. So you have to actually prevent and go for natural way to get the quick energy. And what are these natural way to get the quick energy? Banana is one easy natural way to get your quick energy, right? So you, instead of soda, you can replace with your fruits for your plate of food, rather than filling your plate with carbohydrate. When I say carbohydrate, I'm talking about rice, beans, all of them. Now those are healthy foods, but there are ways to combine. You must have a healthy fat in it.
Mm.
You must have fiber. So rather than
Yeah.
filling your plate with just rice, there is what we teach, that is the plate method. The plate method is that a plate of food that is empty is given to you to fill it up. It's expected that half of that plate should be filled with vegetables. Then the other half, you divide it into two. One quarter for protein, one quarter for carbohydrate. So by so doing, you already portioned your food and you're getting more fiber rather than more simple carbohydrates, or you get that.
So it's sounding a lot more technical. This will be better explained in a one-on-one with a potential client or a client. But Can you give me a straightforward answer?
Okay.
If I have
Can
if
I
in my
explain
family,
it further?
okay, yeah, but I want it to be very straightforward. Just give me a yes or no, and then tell
Yes.
me the chances. If in my family tree, for example, maybe from my maternal side or my paternal side, there's a history of diabetes. Is there a way I, as one of the children in the family, can live my life in such a way that I do not come down with diabetes at all, even till my old age? All right. So, Elizabeth, can you give it a shot?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, good.
I'll say yes. Now, having whatever lifestyle disease run in the family DNA is not 100% guarantee that the children must have it.
All right.
It only just means that your risk of developing it has increased by 20 to 30%, which is still very low. Now, when you realize on time, just like Grace has said, is now meant for the person to do the right things to prevent it from even occurring. Now, let me give this example of DNA and all of that. Let's take, for instance, I love movies a lot, and I like movies where they fight with guns, police and thief.
So yeah.
So let me use the gun scenario. Okay. Now, when you have a loaded gun, for example, this gun is loaded with bullets. If I place this gun on the table in the house, the gun being placed on a table in the house does not harm anybody. Am I correct? It's just there.
Yeah,
It's harmless.
automatically.
The moment somebody goes and pulls the trigger, then there's likelihood that the bullet that will fly off will harm somebody or destroy one furniture. Now, that gun in the house is the fact that the traits exist in the family. You
All right.
pulling the trigger, you doing the things that can make that disease now develop and mature, where it now becomes a problem to start solving many years later. I think that analogy is a bit more explanatory. So, if the trait exists in the family, it just simply means the person needs to be very cautious with what he or she does and works on lifestyle modification, the food, the eating, the sleeping, and all of that. And he or she must not, it's not 100% guarantee. I've seen people who, oh, great grandfather, blah, 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 but they have to just be very cautious early enough so that they don't have it. So I hope that helps.
Yeah.
All right. I think that does it for me. Yeah,
Okay.
I have clarity
All
now.
right.
All right. So I'm gonna go to Grace now. We've talked a little
Okay.
about how food and nutrition actually helps. I mean, can you
Mm.
hear me?
Yes, you're back.
Okay. Okay. I think we should move on. Then he'll catch up when he comes in, right?
He's back.
All right, man. I don't know what's
Okay.
happening today. All right.
Sorry
Can
for
you hear me?
distress. Yes.
All right. So I was asking Grace. We talked about how nutrition can affect
Okay.
one's health negatively and positively. We're still coming back to nutrition, but let's quickly
Yeah.
go to what are the other things that can affect one's health negatively, positively. Maybe one or two. Let's talk about something else. Then we'll come back to nutrition.
Okay, before you came back the first time, I think we already talked about sleep. Yes.
Oh my.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
which is one of them. Sleep, stress. We've talked about that.
Okay.
So
I think the other
let's.
thing on the list
No,
would
I'm coming. Sorry to cut in, Elizabeth. I'm interested in the conversation around sleep. Yeah, why? So
sleep.
I'm going to be honest with
Okay.
you.
So just
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it's a bad habit. It's a bad habit I picked up since I was in during my first degree since 2012. So I hardly sleep
okay.
up to 5 or 6 hours in a day. It's just been part and parcel of me for like 10 years now. So can we quickly have that sleep
Okay.
conversation? How does sleep impact one's health? Because right now I feel normal, all right, and this is why we're having tough conversations. Because there's every possibility that I may feel
Yes.
normal now. It may look like it's not really harming my health in any way, but are there,
Yeah.
foreseeable dangers in the future? Because me, once I sleep for 2, 3, 4 hours, I'm good to go. I feel good. I mean, my body is back to itself. But could there be any danger down the line? All right, let's have that conversation.
Okay. Sleep, eh? You see that word sleep. is extremely important. Coach, it's very, very important. Now, sleep, first of all, you must understand that this human body is like a machine. Hmm? At least I did physics in secondary school. We learned that there's no perpetual motion machine that works 24 hours without breaking down. So, as a machine that this body is, it needs a time to rest from a lot of activity. Even the organs that are working inside of the body need to relax. They need to rest a bit. Now, sleep is where your body goes to undergo what is called repair. Your DNA, the body's DNA, cell DNA is repaired. A lot of processes. That is where stress levels even reduce. Even blood pressure levels can reduce in sleep. So, sleep is where all of the stressful activities you've gone through the entire day, sleep is where your body dislodges them, repairs, renews, so that you wake up the next day and you feel a lot refreshed. So if you're not giving your body that time to repair itself, it just means you're having a backlog of a lot of
Stress.
things that can compound. Do you know that depriving yourself of sleep can lead to some temporary spikes in blood pressure and blood sugar? And for somebody who may not be very particular about his or her health and is not doing some regular checks, he or she may not know and just be pushing through. Like I said earlier on, having strength to move does not equal good health.
Very
You know, a lot
important.
of people feel if I wake up and I just move, I'm okay, I'm okay. I ask people, when last did you check yourself or do a vital? They say, no, I don't check. I'm okay, I'm okay. I've gone here. It's not by I'm okay. Oh. It's not by strength to move. So sleep is actually where the body undergoes a whole lot of repair. Sometimes when you don't even sleep well, you may find yourself having appetite. The hormones that regulate appetite works better at night so that you don't wake up the next morning and start just eating anyhow. And there's always that tendency to just load up on a lot of junk. So sleep is extremely, extremely important. If you're even treating if for anyone who is treating a disease, he or she needs to sleep well so that the body can
Okay.
fully recover. So when people have that habit, we talked about nutrition, we talked about sleep, we talked about stress. There's another thing we've not mentioned, exercise, though you do some exercises, so
I
I'm
do a
sure you
lot.
can easily relate to that. Next thing is doing regular checks or having some vital signs. I was at a real estate company on Wednesday. Their boss, who is 42, has never, never, I say never, sat down to do his blood pressure check in his 42 years of existence. Good enough for him. He didn't have any blood pressure issues, but he said his mom, his grandmom, but he has never. So somebody who is just pushing through, he's not sleeping well and he's not doing some vital checks, there's possibility that certain things can be going wrong. Just like they say, little drops of water make a mighty ocean. It can just keep compounding. Lack of sleep will give you a lot of compounding effects over time. It will affect your metabolism. It will affect a lot of things. It will even affect your endocrine system. That's what has to do with your hormonal production. It can affect because a lot of regulation takes place when you sleep. And the minimum number of hours
I was going to
that
come
you
there.
should sleep, ah, number of hours is 6 hours minimum. There's something called the circadian rhythm. There are different levels of sleep. When you sleep for the first 1 hour, 2 hours, if something drops, you hear it easily,
Not
right?
me, not me,
You open your
not me,
eyes. But there's a level of sleep.
not me.
Okay,
I sleep like Adam.
for most
Deep sleep.
okay, okay. For most people, in fact, some people, the normal cycle is at that beginning stage, you can still hear some things around you and you wake up. But when you get to that 5 hours, 6 hours, seventh hour, at that point, you are in deep sleep and a lot of repair is seriously going on. If you were stressed the previous day, all of that cortisol and adrenaline that had shot up during the day goes down. Even blood pressure levels go down. Blood sugar levels can also temporarily. So sleep is a very great strategy for staying healthy. So minimum 6 hours.
Okay, good.
Let's not go by motivational speakers who say if you sleep 5 hours, then if you sleep
Yeah,
8 hours,
you're
then you
sleeping
sleep
one
that
quarter
sleep
of
for
your
life.
life.
Those things are putting people in trouble.
But is it not logical? If you have 24 hours and you sleep for 8 hours, You have slept one third of your life.
You're not sleeping all of
And
your
if you
life. The
begin
day
to
it hits, you
done
understand that
that,
the sleep is
start
necessary.
Okay, so I'm gonna.
if you do that calculation that way, you start feeling unnecessarily guilty. Hey, I've slept one third of my life, but you actually needed that one third hours of sleep to actually stay healthy for the two thirds.
Okay, good.
Very
I'm gonna go
important.
to Grace.
Yeah.
No, and I'm really very honest. So beyond the fact that I think it's for me, and I'm speaking to myself, and probably a lot of persons will be able to relate. I don't think I have what's this thing insomnia. I don't think I have insomnia. It's just a bad habit that has
Okay.
lingered for too long, and it's just become natural, such that
Too bad.
even when I now decide to, let's say for example, I sleep around 10 sometimes, but those are like extreme days when my body feels like, oh, you really have to shut down. But my body isn't feeling like shutting down, and I say I really, really want to sleep by 10, I just find myself in bed. I just can't sleep. I mean, when I say I just can't sleep, it's not frustratingly, but I mean, it just does not come. So I get back to work, and then naturally, once it's 12, 1, sleep comes naturally. And then when I sleep around 12, 1,
Okay.
my alarm is often set for 6 o'clock. All right. I still try to say, oh, if I sleep 1, let me sleep 5 hours. But naturally, again, as soon as it's 5 or after 5 or 5:30, my body wakes itself up. So, what do we do?
Ah, could you have to find your way
I
to
think
sleep?
one thing you should do
Okay.
I think one thing you should do, because you work round the clock per se,
Yeah.
there is a possibility that when you go to bed to get that sleep, you're flipping through your phone just to pass
Yeah.
time. Right? The sleep
Yeah.
may not come that way. But if you can just shut down mentally, drop the phone, stay in the dark, it can
Mhm.
come. Like
Yeah.
no light, just maybe the blue light effects, right? It can come. But if you're on your phone trying to, like, okay, you're reading something, because most people feel when they read, the sleep comes. Yeah, it happens, but that's actually not the best way to go about it. Shut down, put the body to rest. It's not necessary
Yeah.
that the eyes must close for you to start sleeping per se. So when the body is at rest, you start relaxing and the sleep can come naturally. But
Yeah.
it's over time your body gets to adjust because it's used to a pattern, so it won't
Yeah.
automatically adjust.
Okay,
Then
I'm going to
to
jump
add
the gun.
to that,
Okay,
okay.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go
Okay,
ahead.
to add
Very
to
quickly.
that, okay, to add to that, if you set up your environment to prepare you to sleep, gradually your body will get used to sleeping at a particular time. Even if your eyes doesn't shut at that immediate moment, your body is in a state of rest and relaxation. Then you could also drink certain teas, very good teas. There's some strawberry teas, cranberry teas that help to relax your nerves. Because for someone who is
Chamomile.
active during the day, your body is still in that state of activity,
Activity.
activeness, to see, quote unquote. So there are some teas you can drink that are healthy that will just help to calm your nerves and put you in a state ready to relax and then sleep. Then gradually over time, your body will get used to it and you find out that you start sleeping better.
All
Yeah.
right. So I'll put that to practice and I'll see how that works. So I'm going to jump the
Um,
gun. One of the questions I was going to ask later in the conversation is, oh, what are the kind of food? We're not going to, don't go in depth. We're still going to talk about food, really. We're still going to talk about nutritious food, everyday nutritious food. But quickly, since we're talking about sleep and talking about stress, what are like one, two, three kind of food that helps you to, beat stress, or that helps you against stress, or that helps you to sleep well? All right. Anything comes um, off the top of your head.
okay.
Let me ask
Banana
Grace first.
banana is one thing that helps to relax the nerves. So you
Okay.
sleep at teas, like I said, they also help. Eating foods rich in fiber early enough can help your digestive system to have finished digesting the food, and then you can ease off into sleep. Simple examples are your oats. Oats is rich in fiber, but eat it early enough so that it digests early enough also, and then you can ease off into sleep. But tea is one very popular thing that you can easily just take a glass of and then you're good to go. Bananas also, watermelon, yes, cucumbers.
So when
They also
when Coach
relax.
Joy is talking about tea, she's not
It's not
necessarily
Milo,
talking
Abi.
about milk and milk. Oh.
Not Milo and
Yeah, you need to. Okay, she's not talking about milk. So,
Yeah,
one
I
of
know,
the
I know, I know.
the strawberry tea can help. Chamomile
Yes.
tea can help. So,
Come on.
so that you
Yes.
don't go bump Mila and milk.
No, 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 no.
Then taking milk on its own, just milk, taking a
Yeah.
warm milk can equally
Yes.
help you, not like
Help.
mixing Milo and milk, right? Your milk
Yes.
can actually help.
Milk.
But now the parts, the type of the food you decide to choose is dependent on the individual health, right?
Yes.
Talking about milk now, anybody can take milk, but you know that someone who has issue with lactose may not tolerate that milk,
Yeah,
so that wouldn't
Yes.
work for that person. So the fact we're saying
Yes.
milk does not mean everything works for everybody.
For
So talking about
yeah,
chamomile tea too, it's generally acceptable, right? But it may
yeah.
not work for everybody. Then some other tea, some people take green tea, and they're fine, but it's not for everybody. So it depends on the
Yeah.
individual involved. But
Yes.
strawberry tea and chamomile tea is like a general tea that can actually
General.
help.
For most people. Yes. Yes.
yeah. So I think this is where either of the two of you need to just buy enough of those tea and we bill it to my address. All right. So
All right.
we'll see
No
after this
problem.
call. So I'm gonna ask this. This was not planned. I mean, this came off the top of my head. So
Mm,
discussions around when is the proper time to have breakfast, when is the proper time to have lunch, when is the
mhm.
proper time to have dinner. All right. So those are like conversations to also have. Some persons, say, oh, eat around 6, then 7. But I'm also gonna speak for a lot of people too. For someone like me who sleeps like late into the night, say 12, I find it difficult to have dinner around 6 because I'm still going to be up like 6, 7 hours. Chances that I'm going to be hungry before I go to bed. So, what do we do? So, I often
Okay.
defer my dinner till 7, 8, 9.
Okay.
So, let's talk
And maybe
about.
sometimes then, okay.
So, I want you to give, I mean, you guys are trained. So, what's like the recommended time for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? All right. Let me
Okay,
go to Grace.
let me take
Okay.
that.
All right.
For meal timing,
Mm.
like, see, this the whole thing about food health is actually individualized. For meal
Yes.
timing,
Okay.
it's actually individualized here. Like for someone like me, for breakfast, if I eat before 9 a.m., I become sluggish. So I wouldn't want to eat before 9 a.m. So anything after 9 is fine. So it's for you to identify your body. If you're eating before 9 a.m., it's fine for you. You go on with that. After 9 a.m., it's fine. But we do know that recommended 8 to 10 a.m. is like breakfast hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that does not mean you must stick to that. But for lunch, we recommend between 1 to 2 p.m. And
And dinner.
not forgetting the in between snack that can come around 3 4. That's what we do. Then dinner 6 to
Mm.
7 p.m. But is it realistic for everybody? No, it's not. Especially that dinner. I know I'm focusing on dinner because most time, okay, just the way you walk and you are up in the night, right? If you actually notice you eat late in the night, you may feel
Mm.
okay, go to bed, but deep in your body, something is going on that is not
Yeah.
right. Because at
Mm.
that moment, the brain recognizes that it's time for rest, not time to eat. So the body is already off that food period. You need to actually go to bed and rest, not to eat again. So something could be going wrong. Now, for somebody who has a health history and you're eating by 8, 9, 10, the next day you could wake up to a spiked sugar level, for instance, which may not be good for you because you didn't exercise after eating by that 9 p.m., for instance, or 10 p.m. You basically ate, sat watching the TV, and you went to sleep. Right. So the next day it's going to tell on the blood sugar level. It may not tell immediately, but over time, since when it becomes a habit, the effect begins to show, right?
Mm.
So there's no perfect time. The perfect time is your body. But for dinner, you really need to be careful not to eat late.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think I want us to spend a lot of time on this. So let's go to one of the big elephants in the room. Have you ever met a client or a potential client? You're talking to them about diet, about health, about nutrition, what they eat, and they tell you, "Oh, eating healthy is very expensive." And I feel like that. All right, I feel like that. So this is not just about your client. This is about me too. So for example, if I come to meet either of you and I say, plan a meal timetable for me, and then you say, oh, on Monday eat apple, maybe
Mm.
two apples. I'm just giving something imaginary. Eat two apples, then in the afternoon eat banana. If you're in Nigeria, for example, well, I don't know about you. I buy apples and bananas
Okay.
very often, and I know apples sells for say 700, 800, 1,000 naira, depending on the size. Bananas, they are something else right now. You buy maybe like a very small bunch for 1,000, 1,500, and then let's say in my timetable too, you say maybe eat beans cake or eat let me use our native language, eat akara, eat moi moi, and all of that, and the person is just thinking, I mean, so on my timetable, what I'm going to eat on Monday looks like I need to spend about 10, 15K
Yeah.
to be able to make that happen. So, one of the common objections you're going to get when you talk about diet, proper diets and then nutrition is people are going to tell you, oh, it's expensive. So, how true is that? Or is it just a case of, oh, this is a myth? Or it's a case of knowing what to prioritize? So, speak to that. Let's go to Elizabeth. Can Elizabeth hear me? Or looks like she's frozen.
I think she's frozen.
Can you hear me?
Her network is acting up.
Okay, Grace, go ahead.
Okay, so I like to take it from the part of priority.
Okay.
Okay, so the truth is that
Okay. Now, when it comes
Elizabeth,
to
can you hold on? Let Grace continue.
generally, people feel eating healthy. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you finally. Please go ahead. Go ahead. But can we do
Can
that
you
in a
hear me
minute? Yeah? We're
now?
working with time now. Yeah, can go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Go ahead.
Uh, Grace, can you hear me?
yes, coach, I can hear you.
Grace, please go ahead.
Okay, so I was talking about priorities, right? The thing is that if you decide to eat,
Grace,
whether you
please go
decide to
ahead.
eat healthy or not, whether you decide to eat healthy or not, a time will come when there is a possibility of spending more on the
Now,
health. So it's a matter of what you prioritize. If it's important, we'll
can you
find a
hear me
way.
now?
Yes, I like to say this. Coach D, are you
Elizabeth,
with
hold
me?
on. Go ahead, Grace.
Okay. So I like to say, like, with the economy of Nigeria, which is where we base, it actually looks like is impossible. Yet things are expensive. So eating healthy, yes, can be expensive, can be. But why I say it can be is within your environment there is something that is actually healthy for you, what you can be able to afford. So if you work by what is within your reach, you can actually eat,
All right.
can prioritize eating healthy. As much as in general, yes, it is expensive. I like to tell people it is actually. But let's take for instance, beans is something that is common to almost every one of us, right? So if beans is common to us and is a nutritious food, is rich in your carbohydrates, protein, fiber, right?
Mhm.
It's healthy, so you can make do with that. Egg, yes. We don't. I do not like calling a food a superfood, but egg is like a superfood where it has most good nutrients and is nutrient dense. So if it is egg, is within your reach. But if you're looking at, oh, you want to buy bananas every day, you may not be able to do that. So what I do recommend if you want to eat healthy on budget is you work with seasonal foods, things
Yeah.
that are in season at the moment. Like I think this period we have avocado in season. So now that there is avocado, you make sure you get enough of it because in the next few months you might not get avocados, right? Now, I think sometime around December you have plantain in season. So when it's plantain season, you make use of that opportunity. But if you're waiting for to have it all the time, it may become so expensive. So you look at what is within you and is available seasonally and go with that. By so doing, you'll be able to eat healthy on budget. So you don't have to break the bank.
I'm tempted to also allow Elizabeth to speak on this, but we're running out of time. So I'm just going to
Okay.
quickly go. I'm going to ask Elizabeth this. So, what are like examples of everyday food that people eat? that are nutritious that people can actually inculcate. So I know you're mentioning a few
Okay.
already, like beans, all right? I
Okay.
don't want to go
It's
into that conversation where while we're growing up, we thought beans was actually protein, full protein, only for us to grow up to find out that hydrates that it is protein. So I don't want to have that conversation now. So at least
okay.
what are like the everyday stuff, everyday food that are nutritious that people can actually inculcate
Okay.
diet every day. Just list a few.
Okay. Just like you can hear me clearly now, right? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
can. Mm.
Everyday food, I'll still go
Elizabeth,
with what Grace has said, but just understand that
yeah,
your food should be nutrient dense. Nutrient dense in the sense that you're not just eating foods in large quantity and your body is not getting nutrients. In fact, the foundational information everybody needs on this call is to understand that every food you eat should contain some nutrients. If you're eating junk, then it should be just a tiny percentage, a fraction of what you've eaten in the whole day. So it must be nutrient dense. Now, what are the simplest, cheapest, nutrient dense foods we can eat? Grace already mentioned beans. Is it has your fiber and all of that. The next one is oat. Oat is something you can buy in bulk. It's not something you eat today and finishes today. A tin of oat can actually last one individual. It depends on how often you eat it. It can last you for a period of time. And oat is actually very filling. It's extremely filling. It has a lot of fiber, it has a lot of lipid and sterols for the cell membranes. It's really packed with nutrients. Then your vegetables, when you're eating your white rice, generally this white rice we love to eat every day, which most of us on this video call ate today. I ate it too. Sunday in Nigeria timetable is
I'm
white
not eating
rice.
rice today.
Yeah, sure. Okay, last week
I've had
Sunday
beans.
call.
No,
Okay. Now, we all love to eat white rice all the time. I always encourage people to pair it with some vegetables. Ugu is a very cheap vegetable. 200
yeah,
naira ugu. You can't even finish it for one person now. You can't finish it. You can just lightly steam it and add it to your rice. It makes what you're eating at that moment to be much more nutritious than just eating your plain white rice alone.
yeah,
So your fruits, your vegetables, as much as you can, please, just like Grace said, seasonal. Then don't go and be looking for imported fruits. As much as we want to eat healthy, some of us want to stick to, oh, if I'm not eating kiwi, I'm not eating what else again? Grapes, strawberries. There are other local alternatives that contain the same nutrients that are inside of those strawberries. Like I always tell people, see,
examples.
examples, you have your watermelons. Okay, fruits and
Okay,
vegetables come in a range of colors. If you want to match the imported ones, just look at the colors. You have the red, where you have your watermelon, your your carrots, your all those strawberries, grapes. You have the red. You have the orange, your oranges, your the colors in yellow. Like what else? What else? Okay, pineapples, purple. You have that. You have the green. In fact, greens should be eaten as often. You have your cucumbers. You have your green leafy vegetables. You have your avocado. Then you have your whites. You have your coconut. Just whatever you feel is imported. Look at the color, then look for a color synonymous to that we have locally grown here. Mangoes are in season. You can eat a lot of them. So you have your, as you're eating your rice, we cannot really escape rice. That's the truth. But pair it up with of leafy vegetables. Then when you're eating your swallow, portion control is also important. Some people eat large because of energy. I
this
need
table
energy.
that you want to shake, this table that you want to shake is on three legs.
Portions. I be the legs are broken. Self. Portion control also matters. In as much as we want to eat to fill up our stomach, just always ask yourself, this whole bowl of food I'm eating, does it contain nutrients? If it's entirely made of flour, processed, there are different types of processed foods. Gary is processed but minimally processed. But anything made with flour, it turned into pastries, those are highly processed levels of food. So you minimize your high. The truth is, let me tell you one truth, Coach D. We say eating healthy is expensive. But the same amount of money we will spend on eating healthy, which is not so expensive all the time. Some of us still use that same money to buy things that really don't have any worth. Let's be very sincere. We can easily spend money on so much junk. See where people are buying pizza. See, meat pie is not so cheap now. Meat pie in some places 1,005, 2,000.
Yeah.
It never goes down with bottle of water. It goes down with a drink.
It
I've
goes down
never
with like
seen
Castella
suya.
or Fanta.
So what are we talking? So by the time you compare how much you spend on junk and how much you could have converted to using that same amount to eat home cooked meals. And let me say something now, please, Coach. We may not be able to say that. Some people, when we get to remote working, a lot of remote workers are used to, because I'm sitting down on my desk working all day, I've not had time to cook, so I'm eating out. Let
Oh,
me
that's
tell you
sad.
sincerely, a
Yeah.
lot of restaurants will not use the good oils to cook for you. They'll buy the cheapest because everybody's trying to maximize profits. Some of them add sugar. I've seen somebody cooking something and she dropped some cubes of sugar inside the oil on fire, melted it in the oil, and that's what yes. A lot of recipes contain raw sugar. Even some of us in our houses, some people boil beans with sugar, boil yam with sugar. So
Yeah.
most of what you are
Sugar.
eating out
Yeah.
is not exactly healthy. So as a remote worker or just even any busy professional, it is not advisable to eat out all the time. You have to find a way to make sure you are eating home cooked meals where you are controlling your spices, you're controlling the input of sugar, of salt. People use some kind of flavors to cook their soup just so that it is sweet to taste and they can sell a lot. So we have to find a way to strike the balance there. As much as you want to eat out, please minimize your frequency of eating out. A lot of things are added to that recipe that may not be good for your health. Let me share this. A friend of mine came
Very quickly.
into town to do some job, and he's been in town for like about 6 months. He has always had high blood pressure. He has tried to monitor his blood pressure with his wife cooking, but the moment he came to town and started eating out, his blood pressure shot up to 210. But he still
Wow.
carries that blood pressure to work. And I told him, have you been eating out? He said yes. He can't really cook. So all those extra maggi, trust me, they will use all manner of seasoning, flavoring, and all of that. So all those things in excess can affect our health generally. Yeah.
All right, quickly. Welcome back, Grace. So I'm going to quickly throw this because you touched on swallow. So let's quickly do, and this is not going to be, so you don't need to explain too much. I know, for
Okay.
example, that wheat is very rich in fiber. So I do a lot of wheat,
Okay.
all right,
Okay.
compared
Okay.
to semo and the like. So let me throw this
Okay.
open. Wheat, semo, gari, or eba. Well, most people on this call are
Gary
Nigerians,
is
so they will
about.
understand. Wheat, yeah. So I mean, some people call it gari. We call it eba in Southwest. So let's say eba, semo, wheat, pounded yam, and all the likes. Which would you recommend amongst the four? Straightforward answer. Don't give the nutritional component.
No,
Grace.
coach, you cannot run away from that. You cannot run away from giving the nutritional implication, right?
All
So
Yes.
right. All right.
there's what we call ultra processed foods.
Thank
Now,
you.
ultra processed food has gone through more than 3, 4 processes. And
Mm.
that is where we classify semo.
Yes.
Sorry,
Okay.
but a light note, semo should belong to the trash. Sorry. So
True. True. Yes.
So now your gari, which is eba, you and I know that they just harvest this thing. We make it locally. It's about two process. You don't go
Yeah.
trying to, and when you even make it, you still get to see fiber on it. That one you
Mm-hmm.
want it to dissolve before you start eating because it doesn't go smoothly, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yes.
will recommend eba. Then for
Yes.
pounded yam and wheat is currently people are demonizing wheat. Now, wheat is not bad, but the problem we have with wheat is that what is being added, most of these sweets are packaged, is still ultra processed. Unlike people who stay in the north, like Jos, that can actually get their real wheat from the farm, it's different.
Mm.
So the
Okay.
packaged wheat, I still put it where I put semovita. Pounded
Yeah.
yam, if you can actually make your pounded yam, boil your yam and pound it, since you can eat yam, right? So
Mm.
yam, garri, and then followed by
Fufu.
wheat. Fufu, yes, apple,
Yes.
that is what
Fufu is
people call
healthy.
apple. They are good, right?
Yes.
So semo should belong to the trash.
True.
And you just threw my wheat also in the trash.
If you get the wheat
If you
and you
get the wheat
blend it
from the
yourself,
jaws from north, that is from farm direct.
you're
But
okay.
then if it is packaged, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
recommend.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
my wheat. Oh my wheat. Okay. All right. All right. So you talked about everyday food and nutrition. Was it Elizabeth? Yes. So let me go to Grace. And
Yes.
you mentioned some of
Okay.
them too. So what are like the everyday things that we eat and drink too that are not healthy? Just mention them. We're
Okay.
running out of time. Just list them. Grace.
Okay. Carbonated drinks, not to mention
Okay.
anyone in particular, but it's our quick energy boost, right?
Boost.
Over
Yeah.
time, it crashes the energy, it becomes bad. So it's not good. So belongs to the trash too. Then sweetened yogurt. There is this, oh, yogurt is
Huh?
good, yogurt is this, but those
Yeah.
flavored, I don't want to mention any name, but you know what I'm talking about. So those
Yeah.
flavored yogurts, you just feel like
Mm.
most of them are packed with sugar, right? The
All
Flavors.
same
right.
goes for your juices. So what can you replace with? For your yogurt, you can actually replace with the one we can make from home. Yes, if you know how to make yogurt from home, one. Secondly, you can replace with your Greek yogurt. It's easy. Then for your juices, you can do your natural watermelon, oranges, but then it depends on your health. If you're diabetic, you may not be having the liberty to make your fruit juices. It's better you have them whole than juicing them. Okay.
All right. Thank you. We have like we're getting a lot of questions in the comment section. So if you ask
Yes.
any of the questions in the comment section, hold on. We're going to get there very shortly. All right. So give us like a few minutes. I still have some very important questions to ask. So we live, and let me go to Elizabeth. We live in a very busy world. All right. So, and one of the reasons
Okay.
people really eat junk is that they are busy. I mean, if you live in
Yes.
Lagos, for example, I once lived in Lagos. I get to wake up every morning around 4 a.m., 5 a.m. because I want to dress and leave the house very early to beat traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And then you really can't almost cook. Then you get to work, and somewhere during your break time you get to go eat, from the canteen or something, and then you're going from work around 6 7, you're stuck in traffic again. When I was in Lagos, I get home around 10 11, and I will still eat though. Even if it's a bar, I will still eat because there's nothing you can tell me that I'm going to bed empty stomach. So if you're a busy professional, how exactly do you cope with having to juggle a lot and then still be able to, I mean, really do some cooking and still eat nutritious? That's like one of the challenges people face.
Okay. Almost everybody, apart from those in Lagos, are even very busy. And sometimes even those who are not busy claim to be busy. Now, when it comes to our health, we need to understand that every action has a consequence. Every choice has a consequence. So we have that's where discipline comes in. If you find out that you are very busy and you eat what you see, I would always advise you get a meal plan. And anybody can create a meal plan for you, but not everyone can create a sustainable meal plan. What I mean by sustainable is looking into your schedule, your lifestyle. Okay, you're a very busy person. When are you free? Then the person can tell you what and what to eat, how
And then
often
looking
you
into
should.
your pocket too, the bank
Yes, looking
account.
into your pocket too. Yes, to know what will suit you. You understand? Just like you asked Grace, what snacks? Some of us just rush to unhealthy snacks, but there are healthy snacks. If you now discipline yourself to do what we call meal preparation, buy your food in bulk if possible. If you can't do that buying yourself, especially if you're a woman or a man, you can always send someone to the market to help you buy because you are busy. I know a lot of people who ask people to buy their food stuff for them. You can buy in bulk, prepare in bulk, prepare your soups, your stew in bulk so that you're not tempted to do all of that on a consistent basis. You can have just maybe one day where you eat out, but it shouldn't be all the time so that your health does not suffer. Because whichever one we choose, we can say we are so busy, 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 but the compounding effect of the negative things we are doing, by the time it tells on us, we no longer will claim that we are so busy anymore. We'll look for a solution. So little, little steps. It doesn't mean the person will make a very drastic change. He can start from the type of snacks he or she eats. Instead of doing too much of roasted food, you can do more of home cooked food. You can do more of fruits as your snack during afternoon time. There are ways to combine some simple snacks that will still give the person the right energy he or she needs to keep throughout the day and still get nutrients. So meal preparation in bulk, get a nutritionist to help you plan your meal to fit into your lifestyle. It's not just about morning, afternoon, night. Person has to consider a lot of things. Okay, you are such a very busy person. So if you're going to eat, sometimes it's not necessary we eat 3 times a day. I hope we know. It's not really necessary
Yeah.
we do 3 times meal. If you eat twice and it's nutrient dense, you are good to go. Nowhere does
All
it
right.
say you must eat. So the person has to check your budget, your pocket, check your lifestyle, and know what to do. Then you minimize, by the time you start to minimize excesses of refined foods and carbohydrate, to a large extent, you are doing your health a whole lot of good.
All
Yes.
right. I think this is the point where I say if you're on this call and you want
Okay.
help, you need help with your meal plan and all that, you definitely want to reach out to either Grace or Elizabeth. I think Grace wants to
Oh,
add a few things very quickly. Very quickly. We're pressed for time.
okay.
Yes. For the busy professionals, right?
Mm,
There is this tendency of always eating junk, munching on junks, right?
yes.
As snack, which now replaces your meal. So sometimes you may not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
be able to do all that Elizabeth have said. If you can have snack, healthy snack available around you, yeah,
Yeah.
your nuts, like your nuts, if you can have that available rather than taking that meat pie, a handful of groundnut, a handful of cashew nut. No, I'm not mentioning almond nuts that are quite very expensive, or chia
Expensive.
and the rest of them. So but
Tiger
the ones
nuts.
that are tiger nuts, so a handful of that with your water is enough snack actually, right? So things that you can do. Avocado is in season. Have it around you. If you're not able to prep meals quickly, and oats, like she said, is a quick fix and is healthy. So you just quickly
Yeah.
do that.
All right. Because you mentioned preparing food in bulk, I think I'm going to throw that question back to you, Elizabeth.
Okay.
So there's
Okay.
also this. I don't know if it's a myth. You're going to clear that. There's this ideology
Okay.
about cooking in bulk and then refrigerating it. Does it in any way?
Okay.
Okay, refrigerating maybe soup in large quantity and then having to take a chunk, warm it, either through microwave or gas
Okay.
cooker or something. Does it affect the nutrients of the food? Is it healthy? I've also had couple a couple theories about microwaving
Okay.
food and all of that and the side effects. All right, so speak to that in just maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute.
Okay. Where freezing and microwaving, especially for warming, might affect the nutrient value of your food, is mostly for your vegetables. Mostly for your vegetables, like when you cook vegetable soup. The more if you've if you've cooked okra soup before, and all you are doing is warming, maybe like in an environment where there's hardly light, you're warming, you notice that the okra no longer looks green anymore. It
Yeah,
changes from green to brown,
from
and then
green
it
to
starts to
brown.
look black.
Yeah,
What is happening is an oxidation process. Such vegetables don't need excessive heat. This is where it becomes
okay.
a little bit tricky and dicey to actually prep meal when you don't have constant power supply. And we live in a country called Nigeria, where constant power supply is not a
It's a meat.
reality.
Not
Is a
guaranteed. It's a myth.
is really, since we started this meeting, they've taken my light like 3 times. Thank God I have
I'm
solar
actually
too.
on the on generator, so
Uh-huh. So you have to just, it might be a little more tasking. Anything that has to do with too much vegetable, don't do too much warming. Personally, for me, when I notice there's really no light consistent, I don't do my soup for more than 2 days. It's tasking, oh. It's tasking. That's where discipline comes in, because motivation will wear off at some point. It's tasking. But for things like rice, there are some other things that may not be so good for freezing. You can't boil yam and freeze. There are some things that are just quick cooking. I'm talking of meal prepping, things like soup, stews, so that you can just bring out warm, boil rice and eat. But things like
yeah.
vegetables you want to add to your white rice, it's not something you do and store in the fridge. It's something you just do under 5 minutes and it's done. So for things like vegetables, if you don't have light, that's where you may have a big challenge. But funny enough, there are some refrigerators these days, I think Nexus brand, that can actually keep your food, your nutritional value of your vegetables remain intact. Yes, as
Really?
intact as anything. Yes, Nexus. We've
Okay,
used Nexus
awesome.
in my house for years. Well, that's just by the side. There are freezers like that that help to
You're
retain
already
the
doing
nutritional
brand
value.
advertisement.
Yes. Sorry. I'm not a brand ambassador. I'm just saying. Sorry.
All
But
right.
really speaking, if you don't have light, just try as much as possible to do it as consistent as possible, but not the ones that you now overwarm and then the nutritional value just dies off entirely. What some people do is, some people that are really conscious, they cook their egusi soup, but they don't add vegetables to it. The moment they
Okay.
were warming, they slice some vegetables and have it
And
fresh
sprinkle it. Oh,
on
that
it.
makes sense.
Yes. The okra, you cook without the vegetables. The moment you want to eat, you just slice the one that you need, add it to the vegetable, and then warm. So that's another option.
That makes sense.
Yes.
So I think we should begin to bring this conversation home. We're almost running through 8:30, and I still want to take all the questions that we are. We're going to take all of your questions. Please hang around.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about mental health and then remote work, and I'm
Okay.
not going to leave this call unless I talk about it. But before we get there, let's talk about people managing chronic health issues. So now we've been talking about preventive measures, how to live healthy,
Okay.
but now the health is bad. All right, so how can nutrition, so one of my friends used to say that the human body is so amazing in such a way that it can heal itself, or it can help itself come back to health, if you eat
Mm.
certain kinds of food, if you eat right and all that. So let's say someone is come down with some health challenges. Let's mention a few: diabetes. I mean, I know you
High blood
on your profile,
pressure.
Grace, you talk about PCOS, high blood pressure, and couple terminal issues. So, how can nutrition actually help? Can nutrition reverse some of this? All right. If it can reverse it, what way does nutrition still factor in? Very quickly, Grace.
Okay.
Okay, if it's an early detection, there is a possibility of reversing. But if it's not an early detection, what will happen is you manage.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
in for early detection like high blood pressure, though Elizabeth is an expert there, but high blood pressure now if it's detected early, not the one that the person is already down and been to the hospital. Now for if you're doing frequent check and you detect this early, natural things can actually control this. Beetroot, let me even start with that stress. You reduce the stress, get a better sleep, right? So your body works better. Then stuff like beetroot, zobo can actually help. But that is when it's not chronic.
Yeah.
But when it is chronic now, you just give these things to be able to manage because they do have potassium. You're looking for foods that are high in potassium to help maintain the blood pressure, right? So that's why you have something like banana, the green leafy vegetables, potato. So you be on them, it helps to manage the situation. Then for something like diabetes, if it's from regular check and somebody finds out that, oh, my blood sugar is on the border, that borderline means there is a possibility of it going higher and it's a full-blown diabetes, or possibility of you reversing it. You start with dieting. And when it comes to that diabetes, now we talk about your food portion, your food timing,
Yes.
your choices of food. So
Yes,
for a
this is
choice of food, it means that for that, I'm talking about diabetes, it means that you must have a healthy fat, you must have your carbohydrate, you must have your protein there, and fiber. Fiber very important, which makes up the plate. So now somebody who is already on borderline, over time with this lifestyle can reverse it if stress is being managed. But if stress is not being managed, because I like to say that your stress and your sleep and your food, they're actually very important. No one is less
very.
important than the other. So if these things are put in check, the diabetes can be reversed. But if it is already a full-blown type 2 diabetes, yeah, there are cases of it being reversed, but it's rare.
It take time.
It takes a
All
lot
right.
of time.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm gonna ask the final question around remote
Okay.
work and mental health. Elizabeth, do you work remotely?
Okay.
I know Grace
Some
works remotely.
days.
I do. Okay, some days
Some
you work
days, not
remotely.
every day. Yeah.
So let's have this conversation. So most remote workers actually live a sedentary life. I mean, there are days when
Yes.
I ensure I have a few checks in my own daily routine that helps me to still
Okay.
walk around. I go to the gym, and in the evening I take a compulsory 1 hour prayer walk and stuff like that. But most people who work remotely live a purely sedentary life, and it's even becoming a norm these days that people just love to stay indoors. I mean, introverts, for
Yeah.
example, don't like to go out. I can stay comfortably in the house for like a month and not go out, and I'll be cool. I mean, cool in the sense that I like it. Yeah, doesn't mean it's healthy. All right. So let's have a conversation around that. How does that affect mental health, or probably even the physical health? Yeah, quickly, Elizabeth, in 1 minute or thereabout.
Okay. Okay. If you are living a sedentary life, in fact, remote work sometimes there's a tendency that you sit on that chair for hours. You
Yeah.
don't remember food. There's no physical movement. There's no physical activity. You don't even drink water. Possibly, all those things can have effects on your physical health. It can tell. Then you find out that, oh, you are trying to come back to work to do certain things when you remember food. So you rush and just prepare something that is fast, and you may not be eating healthy. So generally, what I advise people who find out that they sit for so long in between your work hours, if it means you must set an alarm, please do. Set an alarm every 2 hours to stand up and take a 5 minute walk. Let the body move. Especially for men, you shouldn't sit for too long on a spot. Stand up and move the body. Do you get? Be hydrated. Some people can sit at one spot and not even take water. Make sure you have a bottle of water with you. If it means you set an alarm every 2 hours, I take a small glass of water if I feel dehydrated, or if I don't even feel that, I take water and then I stretch my legs. It's important. Then the fact that you're doing remote work doesn't mean you shouldn't step outside. You also need some amount of sunshine, no matter how little. That early morning sun before 10 a.m., 9 a.m., if it means you just step outside, take the cool breeze in, get some bit of sign on your body, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then you step in again. Then in the evening, like you said, you take some 1 hour pre walk, you take a walk in the evening. The fact that you sit pot and then that's it, then it means you're having sort of vertical lifestyle. Just one way. You are in your from your room to your table, from your table to your room, from your room to your table. So you have to just mix it up in a way so that you feel that vibrancy. Then also go out to places, go have fun on the weekend. It's not compulsory that you must just sit in one. You just have to find a way to balance. You are not around people. You're not talking to people. So that social interaction, you may not be having it, unlike in a place where you sit with people, some form of social interaction and all of that. So you also need.
Yeah, yeah, we got you. I got you. I got you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Um, yeah, so I think I want Grace to just contribute a few things. Yeah, you already even answered my what would have been my next question, which is like what are like the basic changes or simple everyday,
Okay.
changes we can make to our lifestyle to enhance both mental health and physical. You've spoken to it, but Grace, you have anything to say before I go to questions? 30 seconds, one
Okay,
minute.
I like myself, I transitioned to this remote about 6 months ago. So, talking from my experience, what happened to me about 3 months into remote is that I began to have this pain on my leg. I had to go to hospital, and the first thing the doctor asked me is, "Are you sitting for too long?" I'm like, "Oh yes." They had to give me a neurogesic or so to apply to ease it off. So, if you're that stressed by sitting too long, it affects you emotionally, mentally, right? Then another thing it can do to you is you now see yourself eating by the way you feel. Because some people eat when they are so down, when they are so excited, it just depends. And you can develop chronic conditions by eating by it's your emotions. So those are things we need to actually prioritize. I used to think remote work is life made easy, but it's really not life made easy. It's a lot of stress. It's stressful because if you're going out,
Because if
you're
you're going out,
exercising.
from Elizabeth. And all right, so let's go to the questions that we have in the comment section. Chioma Joyce, your question. Let me go with for your question first. Can you see the questions on the screen, Grace?
Yeah.
Okay, so Chioma Joyce is asking, um, intermittent fasting, is it beneficial to one's health? If yes, what are the benefits? I think you're just going to answer that alongside Yolanda's question. Yolanda is asking whether intermittent fasting helps with stress level or sleep
Okay.
issues or sluggishness. So can you quickly tie the two together?
Okay.
Very
Yes,
quickly.
intermittent fasting is actually helpful. Okay, why it is helpful is that the body is not expected to keep having food all the time. So intermittent fasting is helping. It actually helps to reduce your stress. One, it helps to increase your energy level by increasing your reducing your oxidative stress. Yes, so intermittent fasting is helpful, but now not for everybody.
All
Intermittent
right.
fasting is not for everybody, and there are durations to intermittent fasting. So what is currently trending is everybody wants to fast for 16 hours without food. It's not a good thing to do for everybody. You have to first identify, you identify your health status. If you can start on a low fasting, 8 hours, which almost every one of us does through the night. You don't eat and then maybe you wake up 10 a.m., right? That's the type of intermittent fasting. And there is a long intermittent fasting. So it does help you with stress, it does help your oxidative stress. So basically balancing your health. But now there are people that cannot do that. People that are pregnant are not allowed to do intermittent fasting. People with diabetes, you need to know the level of your sugar before you embark on intermittent fasting. We do not even recommend long fasting for people with diabetes, right? So it depends on the individual health, but generally intermittent fasting is actually good. And what it means basically is you reducing your calorie intake. But then there is something people do after intermittent fasting, they munch on so much food, thereby consuming more than their
They,
needed
they cover the ground. They cover
lower
ground.
ground. Yes. So by so doing, you're not doing intermittent fasting. So yes, it helps, but not for everybody.
Ah. So I think look at what Yolanda is asking. Does it help with stress, sleep issues? Intermittent fasting
E-
actually does it help with stress,
yes, it
sleep
helps with
issues?
stress, like I said. Like stress is basically anxiety. So
Okay.
when you are doing intermittent fasting, the body's oxidative stress is reduced. It like is managed, so it helps you. Okay, with sleep issue, yes it does. How that works is if you're someone who eats by 10 p.m., you will notice you will not be able to sleep properly. Yes, but if you can stop eating at, let's say, 5 6 p.m., you sleep better. So your body will go into that fasting mode and you sleep well and wake up feeling strong instead of sluggish. But if you eat late, you will feel sluggish in your body. So it helps.
All right, awesome. Let's go to Inyolu Akolawale's question. In the case of stress, how do you cope with a depressed person who smiles or puts up a happy disposition so that people won't know the person is stressed beyond measure? As a matter of fact, I want you to really go deep. I really don't think most people who say they are depressed are really depressed because depression is like a very terrible state to be in. I mean, I don't even think a person who is really depressed can put up a fake smile. Depression is terrible. All right. And Grace, can you speak to that question, all right, with some wisdom, navigate some of the issues that are like
How do you cope with a
in
depressed
that
person who
question?
smiles or put on a happy disposition so they won't know the person is stressed beyond measure? Depression is deep. It's actually very deep. I think the best way to handle this
Very
is
deep.
the best way to handle this is if the person is open to therapy. Yeah, that's actually the best way, because you as a person may not be able to do so much for this individual. That's the reality. What are you going to do to make them smile? What are you going to do to ease their stress? If it is work related stress now, you may not be able to ease their stress because you equally have your own work life, right? So if the person is open to you, let's say is your friend, you understand, you need to have the hard conversation with this person, have the hard conversation with this person that
Okay.
they actually need to see a that's what Filani does on LinkedIn, right? All those it's,
Yeah, Oluwaseun
yes.
Filani.
So
Yeah.
that's the best way, because you as an individual may not be able to help. Every one of us want to bottle up some things, but on the long run it doesn't help. So it's for you to have the hard discussion and see if the person is open to therapy.
All right, awesome. I think I want to highlight this on the screen. This is beautiful from Yolanda.
Okay.
We shouldn't complain. This is actually not a question, it's a statement, but it makes sense. We shouldn't complain about healthy eating being expensive
The
because a
doctor's
doctor visit
visits
is far more
expensive.
That's
expensive.
right.
So more or less like what they say, prevention is better than
Cure.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, like it's more affordable to prevent certain sicknesses than when you now come down with them and you're trying to get out of them. I mean, or even manage them. It's actually very financially draining. All right, I think we're wrapping this up now. This has been a wonderful conversation, very insightful. I'm not even sure I exhausted the questions that I had here. I had like a lot of questions, but I think we touched on essential parts, of this conversation. And I really hope everybody will join this call, either on YouTube or on LinkedIn. You got value from this. If this has been very impactful, please let us know in the comment section. If you're watching on YouTube, ensure you subscribe to this channel. If you're on LinkedIn, let's know how you feel. Yeah. If you still have any question, please drop them in the comment section. Ensure you also connect with Elizabeth. Connect with Elizabeth Joy Adigwe on LinkedIn. Connect with Grace Gabriel Abasirim on LinkedIn. Those are the health experts. I'm not the health expert. So if you want to connect with me, you're connecting me for marketing sake. All right. So as we wrap this up, what are your final words? Let me start with Elizabeth. Final words.
Final words. Okay, I'll use the general statement that prevention is better than cure, but I refined it a bit and I said prevention is not only better, but it's cheaper and safer than cure. Do everything within your power, within your budget. You may not be earning so well, but understand the simplest things you can eat to stay healthy and make sure you're eating that. Nobody says you shouldn't enjoy life. There's nobody that does not like sweet things, but minimize them. I also tell people sometimes sweet things can kill, bitter things heal. Garlic is not interesting to eat, but it has a lot of healing effects. Garden egg, when I was very young, I used to add sugar to my garden egg. Myself, I've done some nasty things before. I will run to the kitchen where nobody is and go and dip my garden egg in sugar because, man, garden egg was like punishment. But it was growing up later on, I got to know that I was just doing rubbish. So sweet things actually can cause harm, while bitter things, quote and unquote, actually create healing in the body. So let's learn to healthy eating is not tasteless. No. There are ways to use these things and still get them to be tasty to our mouth. And if you've been very used to sweet things, I was with a pastor's wife today, which is why I came late. And she told me the day she knew she's addicted to soft drink is when in a day, if she doesn't drink the full bottle, she must take a little cup, like this cover of bottle. She must taste this small one in a day. Even if she does, that was when I knew that. She said that was when she knew that she's really addicted. I hope you know some of these soft drinks we take contain some a little amount of nicotine. So if you are trying to,
Nicotine.
yes, gives you that addictive flair. So if you have been doing a lot of sweet things, it might take a little while for your taste buds to start getting used to things that are not too sweet, too tasty. So you have to give your taste buds some time to get used to the other things. Prevention is not just better, but cheaper and safer than cure. Yeah.
All right. Grace, final words.
Okay,
Before Grace goes on her final words, while we're talking about everyday things people do that they should avoid, I remember we did mention
alcohol.
alcohol,
I was
we
gonna
did
say
mention
that.
smoking. Yeah, those are like everyday things people
Yeah.
do. Take
Okay, I
alcohol,
mentioned it when
smoke,
I
and
talked
all of
about
those.
stress and unhealthy ways of coping.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Grace, final words.
So I would say try everything possible to move, like make movements every day. Okay. What I mean by that is try everything possible to exercise. Anything you can. If it means walking, it goes a long way. Walking does a lot. If it means going to the gym, beautiful. But when you get to the gym, for people who are having high blood pressure, understand that it's not every gym activity that you should engage in. So you have to
Yeah.
take into consideration that. But please do everything possible to move, because you can't just be eating, and then you're not giving out. What I mean by giving out is in, output for the calorie intake and calorie output. Please, they just have to be able to meet up, because
Balance.
if you do not, over time it becomes a challenge. So exercise is very important in all of these things we've said. Take exercise as
Very
important as you take your diet. And if
yes.
possible, stay away from alcohol.
All right,
Ah,
all right. This has been an interesting
yeah.
conversation. I'm glad I did this. All right. I hope you two feel the same way. Hopefully we can do this some other time and cover the grounds that we could not cover tonight. Hopefully, it can be 2027. Coming 2026. But you guys too can decide to collaborate and just do something,
Yeah.
and then take the conversation further. And for those that are still on the call, if you have any, discussions, ensure you reach out to them. Ensure you, when you reach out to them, you're ready to pay for consultation too. These things are not free, all right? So, man, if you have stayed up until this moment, thank you, thank you, thank you. For those that stayed, joined and could not stay today, I want to say very big thank you to everybody who actually came to join us, and I hope you did got value from this. Thank you also, Yolanda, for showing up and supporting for supporting members of the committee. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're taking a bow now. My
Thank
name still remains Olalikon Ajayi. All
Thank you
right,
so
so
much.
I'm saying, yeah, stay healthy, stay alive,
you.
so
Yeah.
that you can spend all the money you're hustling for. All right, I'll see you around.